Yo, it's your boy Augie. Welcome to another Sunday photo mode. And just a quick update on Doom the Dark Ages. If you are playing on Game Pass and you want to use Otis's tools, unfortunately with the new update that happened to Doom, the Otis tools have also been updated, but they don't work with Game Pass. So if you want to use the Otis tools to take awesome photos like we were doing in the last episodes, go ahead and get the Steam version of Doom the Dark Ages and the tools will work just fine. For right now, the Game Pass version doesn't work. So that being the case, we're moving on to a new game, The Altars. I've heard so much about this game. I played a little bit before I recorded this video, and let me tell you, between Expedition 33 and this, we're eating really good on Game Pass this year. Like, just the games hitting Game Pass, this game is God tier level. The amount of choices and strategy and survival is built into this game, it's awesome. And on top of that, the premise is dope, and then the visuals is amazing. So we're going to use this game today to do a photo mode session, and we're going to do some new tools in the Otis toolkit that I haven't showed you guys yet. We're going to play around with some of those things and also some reshade tools. So let's go ahead and start a new game, but before we do, let's take a look at the settings I'm playing on. Once again, I have a 3070 Ti that I'm supposed to upgrade, just can't afford, so please subscribe. I'm going to get a 5090 one day, but not today. So 3070 Ti, these are the settings I am currently playing on for graphical fidelity if you want to use the same settings if you have the same graphics card. Remember, the 3070 Ti has an 8 gig VRAM, so if you have 8 gigs of VRAM or more, you can definitely bump up your settings to mine or even better. If you don't have 8 gigs of VRAM, you might want to dial it back a lot more. That being said, here is the graphical settings. I'm playing full window. I have a 1440p display. VSync is on, frame rate set to 60, graphics set to ultra, motion blur is turned off because, you know, I don't really fuck with that shit. AMD FSR 3 is turned on with frame generation also turned on, set to quality. Brightness, you can set that up for your own monitor. Anti-aliasing ultra, post-processing ultra, everything ultra, okay? Everything ultra. We might see some slight stutters here and there, but for what we're about to do, I think your graphics card can handle it if mine can too. So let's jump right back into it. Let's go back out. Let's start a brand new game. And before we do, let me just show you the camera mode is enabled. All right. There's a bit of an effect going on here, but just to let you know, we have the camera mode working just fine. And this is the Game Pass version of the game. So if you have both of those two things, you will get exactly the results I'm about to get. All right, difficulty. I'm going to keep everything standard, the economy standard, the action element standard, because you know what? We're here for some fun. Let's begin. We don't really know it, but we sense it. There's a sister ship to our life, which takes a totally different route, while the sun burns behind the islands. Interesting quote. Something to do with multiple timelines or living multiple different
How did I end up here?
versions of yourself. Real quick, let's go ahead and pause when we get back to our guy.
My whole life.
Let's stop right here.
All its
So
ups and downs led me to this place.
let's enable our tool. Here we go. As you can see, we have full range of motion in this cutscene.
From anyone I know. A journey.
Well, let's go ahead and turn on reshade, because something about reshade I want to show you is that we have a couple new tools. So the regrade tool is from a Patreon account that I downloaded. I'll have the link in the description. We won't play with this just yet, but we'll just minimize it for now. What we're gonna play around with though is something like, there's a lot of things in here that I haven't enabled, but Immersive Pro is also another paid tool, and with Immersive Pro you can get a little bit more clarity, get some better tools to play around with. Let's go ahead and enable it first with the launch pad, and let's move the launch pad all the way to the top of our load order. Let's grab the other launch pad. For this to work, you do need to have the launch pad at the top of your load order. So if you were to get the subscription and get this particular reshade add-on, you would definitely want to do exactly what I'm doing here. So first thing you want to do is you want to move enabled both of these and move them to the top of your load order. Next, we have something like, if you want to try chromatic aberration, right? Let's see if this works, because chromatic aberration, not chromatic aberration, where did it go? Where did it go? Chroma key. Chroma key essentially in certain places would put a green screen behind your character so you can just kind of separate the background from your character. Obviously it's not working, so let's turn that off. Another thing we want to take a look at is the where did it go? The depth darkness. So depth darkness allows us to basically put a black background behind our character. You notice how it's trying to come in, but right now with this cutscene playing, we can't do that. So we don't have the tools yet to mess around with this while we're in this cutscene. We'll try again when we're in game. Let's go ahead and take a look at some other things here. We have exposure, so we can play with exposure levels, intensities, bring them down. So we're going to be we'll do a lot of our editing of the photo in game today with some of these tools to play around with color grading, exposure, and contrast. And then once we're done, we'll take that photo out with our Microsoft Xbox capture hotkeys, and then we will take that into Lightroom and we'll do a little bit of tweaking. And today I'm going to give you my full process, how I make shorts and reels, and how I also shoot these photos. So that being said, let's go ahead and finish up here. Let's turn this off, and we're going to go back with this now enabled. Let's go just return the scene to its regular position. Delete key still hides the any sort of HUD element. So in this case, our subtitles can be toggled off and on, which is great. But let's go ahead and I'm gonna move over. You won't see me do this, unfortunately. I'm gonna just tab over and I'm gonna bring the Otis tools over to the screen so you can see it. Let's go into our post-processing and let's go into depth of field. Let's turn that on and let's give ourselves control over this scene a little bit. Let's go ahead and just let's increase our f-stop values, and let's see if we can add a little more. I never know what the depth of field count, I never really knew what it does, so I don't really play around with it. But we can get a lot more clarity in this scene. Let's just get right here. Okay, so with that, we can now go into this scene and we can see all the parts of our character. And if you notice, it's only the top half of him that is actually rendered. The bottom half of him is completely gone. Let's bring back, if you notice, yeah, there you go. All right. So in this cutscene, the way they created it, let's zoom all the way out here. We're inside the space pod in a completely void, and actually we're on the planet right now, which is good. But in terms of how the cutscene is rendered, we are just the bottom half of our guy. But yeah, that is how they made this cutscene. Let's go ahead and push back in. Let's try to get a shot of his face. All right, now let's go ahead and let's bring back our depth of field and let's play around with our own settings to see where we want this picture. All right, let's try to get a lot of those helmet elements into view. There we go. Let's go over to lenses. So a little bit of, let's move this out of the way so you can see it better. If you look right here, you're gonna notice the light bokeh kind of bounce a little bit. Let's go to intensity, turn on intensity, and there you go. So you can see that light refraction right here. As we move through it, it is moving at there's different sizes of the bokeh that is being presented with that turned on. Let's turn on lens flare threshold. If we drop it all the way down, it's super bright. Let's just bring it down just a little bit. And then let's go ahead and just adjust saturation. Let's play on the saturation just a little bit. Don't make it too. Now let's give it a different hue. Let's give it more of a reddish hue to kind of indicate the danger he's in. Let's just keep this here. Let's make it a little bit darker. All right. Obviously, these are all to taste, the things I'm doing. It is not something. Let's go down to exposure. Let's bring exposure balance down. There we go. Just a little bit. The thing I don't want to do is have to do a lot of this in Lightroom. So I'm going to try and get a lot of my editing done within the space of this tool. And then when I'm in Lightroom, it will be slight color grading that's being done. Global illumination. Let's click this on. Let's see if you can just lumen. Okay, we got, let's try ray trace. Okay. Screen space. There's a lot of artifacting in this bottom corner right here, if you notice, with our screen space. Let's try ray trace again. Now it's stable, is a solid, more stable image. We do have some refraction going on right here that is kind of glitching out, but that's fine. It's just part of the art. We'll just leave it at that. Indirect light intensity. Let's kick this up a lot. You notice how on the visor, you're getting a lot more light kind of coming in there. I like that a lot. Let's not overdo it though, because there's not really a sun right now on the planet. It's just a light source right above his head that is casting that light. Let's go down to color grading. Let's go to temperature, white balance. Let's go to white balance, white temperature. Let's bring that down, give it much a colder feel. Really bring out the coldness of space while keeping it a little bit warm. And then the white tint, let's see, you don't want to make it too, I think right about there. Don't want to go too green and not too purple. That is good enough for me. Let's see, color saturation. Let's go ahead and turn this on. Let's go ahead and just, let's see, not too saturated, because you just don't want to overdo it. But I think that I like where we're at. This is good. I think I got the picture I want. I'm going to come back here. I'm going to go ahead and do Windows Alt Print screen to get Xbox to take that photo for us. And there is our first photo. All these tools I just used are in the Otis Unreal Engine 5 latest 5.5.2 version of the tools, so you can easily do this with your own play session. Now, we also have the control insert key, which now gives us this overlay, and it allows us to click on the actor. Let's go ahead and make this movable. And can we move our actor anywhere we want? It seems like we cannot move our actor because I think we're only on a camera layer, so we can't move the actor. We're just kind of playing around with our own camera distance. So unfortunately we can't move him with this gizmo just yet, but we will get to the point where once we're in gameplay we can move him around whilst the game has been, you know, stopped and stationary. Let's go ahead and close this out. Let's return back to the shot and let's play the cutscene. All right, I am not sure what just happened. There we go. Oh, you know what it is? I know exactly what's going on. So we left a lot of those. Yeah, we got to turn all these off now. Once you're done with your photo, don't forget to turn these off because they are going to impact your your gameplay a lot. Let's turn all these off. Actually, let's toggle all off again. There we go. There we go. That way we're not stuttering with our frame rate.
That
was a tough landing. Polsky here. Do you read me? Anyone? Nothing. I need to figure out what happened.
All right, let's take a look around us for a second here. So, obviously, let's bring up our Immersive Pro. Let's toggle off. There we go. Notice how the settings we had applied for exposure, that took over for a second there. So let's just bring all the active to the top. It should just be these two now. That is perfect. All right, so let's do a couple of shots here. Let's get our first. All right, let's go ahead and go insert key to enable the camera. Actually, let's go ahead and turn this off. Insert key. I like that. I like that. That looks pretty epic. I like that. All right. So now that we got kind of our framing done, let's take a look back at the character mod. Okay, so there we go. We can now highlight him. Let's see if there is any sort of. We'll go into pose editor in a second, but usually there is. What am I looking for? Here we go. Experimental options. Let's see if there's any custom animations here. So let's go. What is attack? Okay. Victim. So we can kind of play through some of these animations to see if there's anything that we like. Let's see, sleep on bed. That's funny. Alright, that's funny. Okay, let's go drink soda water drinking. Mine's over here drinking that soda water. There we go. Alright, let's keep playing around with this. Let's find some other animations. Let's do raking. Okay, we got a rake animation. Is there anything we can do? Let's see. What does look at look like? I do like the head turn, but what is going on here? Whoa, what was that? What was that? That might have been good. That might have been good. I like this. Let's just kind of, let's hold this. Let's hold that right there. I like that. I like that a lot, actually. Now let's go into our pose editor. With him still selected, let's go ahead and bring this down so we can see all the body parts. And let's move this to the side so you can see what I'm about to do. Let's go to spine. And let's make sure we enable pose editing. And let's just tilt him back just a little bit. Okay, how much? Go back just a little bit. There we go. On the spine, the arm. Let's just keep it right by his side a lot more, and let's do. Let's move it away from his body just a little bit. That way it's not clipping his shoulder. All right, so this is upper arm left. Let's do upper arm right. Once again, we're going to bring that arm down, and we're going to extend that shoulder out just a little bit. There we go. Okay, now let's go for the neck. We want to do the neck now. I want to get this head turn that he's doing. We want to bring it up just a little bit. Let's just go to neck, and on the Y, Let's see if we can just rotate his head in here a little bit. There we go. See, not okay. There, that's what I've been trying to do. I wanted his head to be more like he's looking up into the sky while we shoot this reel real quick. Let's go ahead and just close this out. Now, when we go in, we can go above, and now he's looking up into the sky as opposed to having his head in a dog head turn. But let's just try to, let's find our shot real quick while we're at it. Let's go ahead and just find our shot. Let's push back a little bit. Let's go in. I like this. I like this a lot, actually. Let's just get that smoke to emit right off his shoulder. Underneath his hand, I mean, I'm sorry. There we go. There is a shot. Real quick, let's just do a quick 30-second YouTube short. So let's record this real quick, and I'll come right back. All right, now let's try adding some depth of field to this real quick. So once we got our shot, to not lose it, let's go ahead and there is a custom key for, normally is the home key, but the home key now is remapped for reshade. So I remapped the key to pause the camera's position and lock it to my pause break button. So once I hit my pause break button, now my camera is locked and I can't move it, which means I can now toggle back to this. And now let's look at depth of field again. Let's bring all this back. And let's make this scene a lot more cinematic. So, where is our sweet spot? All right, I think I found something that, there we go. All right, so that, I would say that is my sweet spot, and now this scene just became even more cinematic. With a little bit of depth of field applied, we have our main, actor, character in full view, well lit, sharp, while the background with all the smoke and the ambient lighting is now blurred out, but it's giving this really cool cinematic feel that I really like. All right, so let's go ahead and shoot this short real quick, and then we'll come right back. All right, let's come back. Now, to make this short even more visually striking, let's go ahead and play that animation, actually. Let's see if we can play that animation again. So since this game is all about the clones, let's bring in another clone of him, and let's clone him one more time, and let's move that clone over here. Let's go ahead and just pivot that clone over, and now we have created essentially our own this tool is so good just to create these cool let's go ahead and close this out. But here you go, we just made our own I guess game cover for a game that's all about cloning yourself. We were able to clone ourselves and create a scene that is not possible in the initial first 5 minutes of the game. This is the kind of thing that the Otis Inf tool gives you, and these are the powers you now have in your hands to create these amazing scenes that normally just don't exist, and you can't. Unreal Engine 5 is a great engine, and with these Otis tools, like if you're a creator, a content creator, right now watching this, you need to get this. The Patreon's only $5. I don't know what you're waiting for. Click the description, click the link, subscribe to Otis, get all the photo mode tools he's made, and like start creating right now, because this is a niche that nobody is really touching on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. No one's really doing this. So if you have the audience and you can create compelling content, you can really take off with your content in game. We just created a whole movie set for $5. Now, if you have to buy the game is currently, I believe, $31 on Steam. I'm going to buy it because I love the concept already. But with Game Pass giving us a chance to try out the game before we even put real money behind it, I think that's one of the benefits of Game Pass. It allows players like myself who don't know about some of these games to play it under our subscription. Once we like it, we pay to own it. Because you don't know how long this game will stay in Game Pass, but dang it, I'm gonna buy this to support 11 Studios, because this game captures the aesthetic, the feel that I like in my video games. So let's go ahead and take our first photo real quick. Let's go into reshade for a second here. Let's go into add-on, and let's go into our depth of field control. Let's go ahead and enable one of our features we just added. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? There we go. Go ahead and enable this. Let's go back to our add-ons. Let's start our depth of field tool. So this tool allows us to create a depth of field map, and with it we can then get our photos to be as detailed with the depth of field as possible. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to align the fact that there is motion. Let's go ahead and let's close this for a second. Let's pause the motion and then let's go back in, because the thing is, the goal is to align your image over itself, so that I'm explaining it horribly. Let me try it again. To get the depth of field to render correctly, you need to align your image so that all the layers of your image are in perfect synchronicity with each other. To do that, you need to, let's just go where we're supposed to be at. Our focus delta, if I increase it, if you notice, we lose our alignment. The closer I bring it in, the more aligned the image is. Now the goal is to get it to the sweet spot where everything is perfectly aligned. So like right here. And the goal is we're trying to get our center character to be aligned, and everybody else we don't really care about. Okay, so at 0095 is where we found our sweet spot. Now let's go ahead and come down and let's start our render. Now the game is going to render the scene in full depth of field mapping, and once that is done, we can now take our screenshots. Let's go ahead and turn this off, and let's go control print, and there is another shot. Now it seems to be a little bit blurry. Let's try to adjust that again by going back into our add-on. Let's go back into, let's just end that session. Let's start another session, and let's see if we can get it even more precise. One thing I did notice is that the depth of field and the point of focus is right on the helmet right here. Everything else in the image is essentially out of focus except for this point right here in the image. So that's what I'm looking at when I'm trying to center the depth of field. If I try to do for anybody else, like these two guys, not there, these two guys are centered, his face is centered. Now let's do, let's make sure we have everything good. Frame weight, That's fine. Let's leave that alone. Magnification, we'll leave magnification alone. Quality, let's bump this up to 13 number of points. Let's go even higher. Yeah, everything else is good. Everything else is good. Let's go ahead and start our render. As you can see from the top right here, it is rendering the scene and the depth of field. So go ahead and let it do its job. Once it's done, we'll compare the before and after, and we'll take our final photo. This honestly is good enough to be a desktop, like a wallpaper. Alright, we're just about done rendering the scene. Alright. Alright, you can take your screenshot now, click the end to end the session. This will remove the rendering effect. We don't want that to go away, so we'll just take away the reshade HUD, and we'll do our Alt Windows print screen key and grab it via the Microsoft Xbox dashboard. Perfect. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and unlock the camera so we can move around with the camera. Oh, you know what? My bad. So once you do that with add-on, you have to end the session, or else the game, it basically is holding your the reason why nothing was happening just now was because the game is, the reshade is holding the rendered thumbnail we just did. It's holding it in place for me to take my photo. So anything I'm trying to do behind the scenes isn't going to work. I have to come back and I have to click end session. Once I end the session, then I can actually close this out and then re-engage my camera, and we can now go back into the game as expected. All right, so that was a lot, but I feel like we just learned a lot about the game and also about these tools some more. So let's keep moving. And also, one thing you'll notice is the depth of field I have turned on has now been applied to the overall game. So now there's more of a cinematic feel to the action on the screen, which I like. I definitely like it because this game is gorgeous. And yeah, real quick, let's go ahead and hide our main character here. Let's go ahead and grab our camera. Let's push all the way out. And let's do some location shooting. Let's just do some landscape photography here. Let's move the camera back. We're gonna just dolly in towards the ocean while the smoke just kind of bellows over the camera. Let's make sure we have our guy out of view. And let's start. 3, 2, 1. What we're just gonna do is just apply a gentle forward motion to the camera just to get this really nice cinematic dolly in. Just really atmospheric, this game, and I like it. Rain, gloomy, smoke, really harsh lighting. Some good stuff, man. We're gonna dolly all the way to the space capsule that just landed, we just came out of, and that will be our point. So as we're getting closer, I'm gonna go and just slowly bring the camera down so that we land right in the cockpit of the of the capsule. So we're just going to slow it down a little bit until we get a point of visual fidelity, like right here. We're just going to just hold it right there. So what you're seeing is that the capsule landed. The parachute that brought the capsule down is now on the water, on the rocks, and the water is engulfing and slowly washing over the capsule and the parachute. Very, very creative scene. All right, let's come back, and I just got another shot in my mind we can do. Let's I don't know if we can jump, but if we can, actually we don't need to jump anymore, because what we just realized is that with Otis's tool, we can simply grab our character. Now let's just make sure we can move him, and let's just go up. So let's go ahead and just okay, so we got the camera enabled. Let's bring this up. Let's click on our character. Alright, so we can't move him unless we pause, which is a bit annoying. But now that we have paused, let's bring him all the way up. Let's move him forward. Let's make sure we can see where we're placing him. And the goal is to just put him right above the capsule. Okay. There we go. Now let's do that same shot we were just doing. Alright, so we do see that he's not properly aligned. Let's go ahead and just pause this real quick. Let's bring him down. And then let's just rotate him so that we can get a better look at his body. So essentially the goal of this shot is that he's looking out into the distance. Being stranded, he's just looking out into the distance. Dang it, once again, he is... So let's just cheat this a little bit. Let's just bring our camera down. There we go. And just create that effect that we're trying to achieve. Let's just push back just a little bit. And then for this, since we're just doing a reel, let's just go ahead and orient our camera in that full. There we go. And this is how, if you see this reel or this short, this is how it was made. Alright, let's return back to the game. Alright, so as you can see, I'm just being creative and just finding little scenic things to do. This is what you can essentially do. If you are as creatively inclined as I am, you're not gonna you will not be short of things to do and make. That is the beauty of this tool, and right now this game is just gorgeous. With this depth of field applied, just look how cinematic it feels. Everything just has a very cinematic approach to it, which...
That's an emergency flare from my capsule. I should look out for those.
Alright, so we gotta find the rest of his crew, because after he crash landed, there's not much else. But that being said, I am getting distracted by how beautiful this game looks.
Hello? You read me? This is Jan Dolsky.
Alright, so let's do another one. Let's do another one. Let's pull all the way back out.
I think my capsule went astray.
We're gonna keep the field of view here, but we're gonna just push the camera all the way out.
Maybe the radio's broken.
We're gonna lock the camera in place, okay? Let's go ahead and let's mess with our depth of field a little bit. Okay. We're going to go ahead and trigger the console command, not the console, the keyboard command, which is just pressing decimal on the number pad, which will give us control over the character game input. So now that the camera is locked, we can now walk. Alright, let's go ahead and unlock the camera, bring it back to him. Let's unlock the camera again. Let's turn off our input command. Let's bring the camera down. Let's look off in the distance a little bit. Let's go ahead and lock this. Let's enable our console, our input command. And let's just walk straight past the camera. Alright, that was an amazing sequence we just shot right there. This is so good. Alright, so let's go look for anything that we can find. I do see another smoke. Alright, let's see if we can get to it. Right here, I like this. Let's just take the camera. Let's go as high as we can, and then we'll just do another dolly in. Those are super easy, very clean shots to get. Don't even have to try, honestly, with those. Alright, so now that we got that shot, let's go back, let's reset the camera, and then let's shoot it again, but this time with our character walking through the shot. So let's just locate our character. They're down there. Let's disable their key command for a second. Let's reposition the camera. So now they're going to walk basically from the water towards the flare. So let's go ahead and lock this camera position. Let's enable our command. Alright, there he is. Let's go for a slow trek. Alright, let's get back in. Let's enable our... Alright, with the HUD turned off, we can't see anything, but let's not walk into it. Interesting, okay. This is new. Haven't had this before. So what is happening is that we are essentially turning into a ghost. We're just going right through. Sometimes the tool bugs out. All right, let's go ahead and just reload a save. All right, let's try that again. Let's go to this point. Let's press A. There we go. Now we can climb. Just a little reload of the game and come right back. There is no save in this prologue area, so if you do have that issue, you're going to have to essentially restart the game. There's no save option. Alright, let's go ahead and just climb up. Wait, what just happened here? One thing about Unreal Engine games, especially Unreal Engine 5, climbing is really weird. The same thing for Expedition 33. The climbing mechanics is just not as fluid as certain games like a Red Dead would be when it comes to climbing and movement. Alright, let's keep it moving. Alright, so now we have a capsule that we are about to approach. Let's go ahead and just take the camera. And let's just dolly into that capsule. We're gonna try and push the camera through the smoke a little bit. Now let's just push right in. There is a bit of a drop off as you dolly in, so if everything works as I'm thinking it will, we should land with the camera right on the X, and then that text will become legible as we get closer and closer to it. Kind of revealing the big moment in a way that it's more cinematic than what the game was going to do for us. Alright, now that we have this tool, we can also go into the ship and take a look at the captain like we've never seen before. And yeah, looks like the captain unfortunately just didn't make it. Alright, let's go ahead and just find... Oh, I like this. I like this a lot, actually. Let's dolly back down to that smokestack and create another YouTube short. All right. So the goal for some of these shorts that I'm filming right now is to get the content, but then the audio will be in-game audio from dialogue. So you're going to see the visual at the same time. You're going to have the audio kind of tell a narrative story as to why that shot is the way it is.
Captain. Shit.
Go ahead and hide the HUD on this for a second. Let's go ahead and stop right here. Let's take our camera. I like this a lot. I like this. Honestly, there's not much to do to this particular shot, but let's take a look at what we can enhance. Something that I was trying to show you earlier was the chroma key. Let's see if we can enable it and see if it works. Where did it go? Chroma key. There, let's go ahead and enable that. Yeah, it doesn't work. Yeah. And that's fine. Yeah, the way the game is rendered with nanite, it's not going to work. The distance we need for chroma key to work is just not So that's one thing we can't use. Okay, let's see if depth darkness will help. Nope, nothing there. Nothing there as well. So, okay, the two things I wanted to do to kind of help isolate the visuals from each other don't work. All right, that is fine. Let's go to cinematic depth of field. Let's go ahead and just bring this up a little so you can see the full. All right, so that is where we want our auto to kind of focus on. Okay, first of all, this is not the most intuitive. Not the most intuitive cinematic depth of field ever. Let's go ahead and turn that off. And some of these you're just gonna have to play around with and kind of get your own taste. A lot of these are to taste. It's not necessarily something that you have to do, but if you are going to do it, it is something that you kind of got to figure out what you like and just how much of it you want to play with in your own game space when you're making your photos. So once again, this is just my personal taste. You can do what you want when you get these tools. You know, I'm trying to see what the effect change really is on this slider. I'm not really seeing anything that is really changing. Let's go texture depth. As you can see, the bump mapping right here and right here, the more I increase that, the more those stand out, so we get more of a grittier feel to the image, which I really do like. Just kind of bring that out some more. If we increase our contrast, we're getting a lot of light bleeding in, which I don't want. Let's make it actually a lot less contrasty, more harsher light. And then let's go to foreground balance. Let's see. I'm not really seeing any changes that makes me go ooh or ah, so that's fine. We'll leave that the way it is. Let's go to exposure, and let's just play with our intensity. Let's bring our intensity down all the way. Enough that we get the scene to really feel well lit, but not enough to lose any sense of, like, I don't know what I'm trying to say. Essentially, you don't want to overlight the bitch. You don't want to overlight it so that it's just too bright, because it's supposed to be a somber scene, so you don't want the light to overpower the moment, but just enough to keep the visual of the scene intact. So that being said, I think we have what I'm looking for. Let's go anti-aliasing. Let's just make sure everything is nice and crisp and sharp. Let's increase this value. You're not really going to see anything with this, with the corner rounding, so that's fine. We'll leave that alone. Let's go to sharpening. Not really seeing any changes there. Increasing this to 100. You see a little more sharpening right here in the suit details, the suit texture, a little bit, I think. It's not very pronounced, which is fine. All right, now that we have all of that done, I don't think there's anything that I need There is this bit of a glitch depth of field here, but we don't need that. We can just turn this off. Magic depth of field. We don't need that either. Fake HDR, we're good. Alright, let's see, let's go. Everything else that we want to play with, we're not going to do it here. We're instead going to go back into our tool and we will play around with our depth of field. Let's make sure well, first let's lock our scene. I think this right here is good. Let's lock this. I think this is an appropriate level. Let's bring this back. Let's enable depth of field. And then let's play around with our own. There we go. I like that. There we go. That is what I want. So what we're really focusing in on here is the eye. You know, really looking, the eye tells it all. He's looking at his dead captain. The hand, you know, expressing sorrow, remorse, sadness, whatever. But the eye is really what I wanted to capture in this scene, which is right now in the perfect of focuses. Let's go ahead and grab this. All right, let's go ahead and play that cutscene. And then here we go. This looks beautiful as well. Let's pull back just a little bit on this. Anything we need here? No, let's just. All right, there we go. All right, let's just grab the initial, because this is really good framing as well. With our depth of field enabled, we get a really nice shot out of this, so I like it. Let's go ahead and play the cutscene. I guess the cutscene's over. One thing about the tool that does suck sometimes is that cutscenes will continue to play while you're even in a pause state. So you will lose a lot of that. A lot of those moments will be lost to you if you were pausing in cutscenes. It sucks. It's a trade-off that we all are sacrificing for the betterment of the photo mode. But just remember, if you want to play the cutscenes again, you can always just, you know, stop the game, reload it, and play the cutscene. Or play the game in one playthrough with the cutscenes, and then another playthrough where you take photos. But I like this right here. Let's go ahead and pull out the camera. Let's come all the way back. Let's go ahead and lock this view, enable our control. So let's go for a little trek. That was good. That was good. Good stuff. All right. Let's go back.
Mobile base. There it is. Olski here. Anyone copy?
Alright, let's take a look at this. I think there's something going on in this scene that we can use.
We'll try and get down there.
thought there was, but I'm not really seeing anything. Now there it is. That's the shot. That's what I'm looking for. A shot of mobile base while we're looking down. Let's tilt down a little bit. Establish that. So we have our rule of thirds in play. Let's bring back our layers. Let's turn on depth of field. And let's play around with our settings. All right, we got that. Okay, let's go ahead and return back to the game. Let's bring back all of our active shaders. Let's turn off a couple of these. There we go. I mean, clarity is nice. We'll keep clarity. Exposure, we'll turn that off for now, and anti-aliasing, we'll keep that on. But now we're going to go into our add-on, and we're going to use our start depth map, and we're going to make sure we align this shot. Honestly, it's perfect the way it is. Go ahead and bump our quality. Let's change that. Go ahead and start our render of this shot. All right, so our picture is done rendering. Let's go ahead and grab that. Perfect. Let's go back here. Let's go back into add-on. Let's make sure we end our session so we can return back to our tools. Let's turn this off, and let's go back in. All right, so now we got to make our way down.
Maybe they landed closer to the drop-off point. I gotta keep moving. Capsules. Wait. What? No. That's impossible. They can't all be.
Let's make our way down. Let's go make sense of all this craziness.
Now? Oh shit. It's rising fast. I gotta get to the base.
So we got the radiation warning, so we have some time. The lower radiation, if you look at the lower left of the screen, there's a radiation meter. As long as that doesn't get full before we get to the home base, we are good. Speaking of home base, there it is.
Yes, the elevator. Quick. Come on. Come on. That was close.
All right, day one. Okay, so now we are in the base, and let's just give you an idea what the base looks like.
Anybody here?
Essentially, it's a series of stacked cubes that we are
When I hope someone else made it.
inside of, and it's a cool design, and we'll get into it a little bit more in the gameplay.
Get help.
But I just wanted to show you just what we can do with the tool in terms of breaking the camera and just doing our own thing. And that is our protagonist. Now, since this is all about cloning yourself, let's go ahead and do one more photo mode picture before we close out today's episode. Let's go ahead and grab ourselves, clone, all right, let's come a little bit closer. It looks like we're not getting a good selection. There we go. Let's go ahead and clone. 2 clones is good. 2 clones is good, I think. But let's go ahead and give this guy a animation. So let's look for a sitting animation. I want to put him basically sitting on the okay, that is not sitting. Okay, that is sitting. We got a sitting animation. Perfect. Let's go ahead and move him back. Let's bring him down, and then let's just rock him back just a little bit. Okay, we got our first picture down, our first position. Let's go ahead and move over to our next clone. Let's move him a little bit to the back. Keep him on the floor. Let's move him to the right. Let's give him an animation of, let's see, what do we have? Sit on chair, table, eat snack, inspect low. What does inspect low look like? All right, let's stop that right there. So we got him inspecting something low. Perfect. And let's go back to our main character. And now let's give him an animation. I thought I saw something that said welcome. Let's do welcome 1. Okay. Not sure what is going on here. I don't know what kind of welcome this is, but there we go. We got that. Perfect. There is our pose. So we can close this out. Let's push in. Not too far in, just in enough. Alright, now let's take a look at this clone right here. Let's pivot, let's rotate him a little bit. There we go. There we go. Alright, and then let's kind of move him a little bit further back. Alright, let's go and just take this shot real quick. This just might be our thumbnail for the day. Let's go into vibrancy at the bottom. Let's turn that on. And let's just play around with our vibrancy just a little bit. I like that. Nothing too crazy. Let's bring all active to the top. We'll keep clarity where it's at. Let's go ahead and close this out. Actually, let's bring back this and let's just move our clone in a better position. There we go. That's more. I'm gonna just move the feet up a little bit. That way they're not awkwardly placed. Let's take clone number 2. Actually, I'm going to use this suit backdrop instead for this, so we'll just use that as the actual backdrop. And then let's go to our original. Ooh. You know what? Let's just reset him. There we go. Ah. We still got to get our. There we go. I don't think we're still on our person. There we go. Are we on him? All right, there we go. Let's just move. There we go. Whew. All right. All right. We're getting there. We're getting there. Let's go ahead and rotate him around. Let's move him backwards. All right, there we go. I think this is what I was looking for. Let's go ahead and close out this screen. And for our thumbnail, this is how it was made. Wait for him to do a little bit of a movement real quick. Give me a movement. There we go. There's the movement I was looking for. And now we are going to go ahead and lock in this screen. We're going to bring back our tools. We're going to depth of field this a little bit. Not sure what's going on, but we're getting these weird fracting going on in the image. If you can see, just kind of takes a weird, but this is good enough. Let's go ahead and just grab this. We can play around more with this in Lightroom and bring it to life. But there we go. That is we have moved around in this game so much that we kind of broke it. But you guys get the idea, man. This game is actually pretty fun. The concept is unique. The visuals is cool. Let's go ahead and move forward. Let's see. Can we get back into gameplay?